Coming up today here on the Raiders Report, Deion Sanders, is he trying to get the entire Sanders family to Las Vegas? You got to see what Prime said. Then Davante Adams has given a little bit of an insight, kind of revealed who he thinks the quarterback one is right now for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I don't know about y'all, hearing Davante say that in the middle of July is a really eye-opening thing. For those that don't watch our live shows, we're giving away Raiders-Cowboys preseason tickets. The seats are going to be in section 139, row 36, seats 11 and 12. If you're not subscribed, you're not going to have a chance to win these tickets. We're going to be giving away tomorrow, live on Raiders Friday happy hour. So if you're like, you know what, F it, I'm trying to win some tickets, tune in. Hit that subscribe button, and good luck to everybody out there. So coming up here again, we're going to talk about Coach Prime, Shedeur Sanders, Shilo Sanders, and then we'll get in here a little bit about Davante. We'll get, in terms of a little bit context, why we're talking about Deion. So he was at Allegiant Stadium yesterday for Big 12 Media Day, and he was asked about Shedeur and Shiloh potentially playing for Las Vegas, and he said, that would be nice for Shedeur and Shiloh to play for Las Vegas. I am meeting with the team today. So the fact that Deion is flat out telling you that he likes the idea of both of his sons playing for the Raiders and that he's meeting with Antonio Pierce and the Raiders, that's pretty eye-popping to me. And, you know, one of the things that I'm sure Deion wants is he wants his kids to play for somebody that is a good head coach. This is what he had to say about Antonio Pierce yesterday. Great man, great leader, earned the job. They didn't give him nothing. I love what he brings to the table. I'm a big believer of, hey, man, where there's smoke, there's fire, and man, oh, man, there's been a lot of smoke around the Raiders, around the Sanders kids, around Deion, because he has openly said now multiple times that he likes the idea of Shedeur potentially playing for the Las Vegas Raiders. And if you don't think that Deion's going to have some sort of a say in where those two kids play, including Travis Hunter, probably every kid from Colorado, let's be honest, then you're just sleeping on it. We're in a new world here, I think, of NFL media, NFL in general. Deion's going to have a lot of power, and if he wants his kids to go to the Raiders and only the Raiders, I'm just saying, it might actually happen. Coming up here, should Raider Nation actually want Shedeur Sanders? Should Raider Nation actually want Shiloh? Should we want Deion even talking about all of this? I'm going to break all this down for you, so please don't go anywhere. But you know what? I got to show some love to our awesome sponsor, Mando. And Mando has really stepped up this month because it's hot as hell down here in Texas. And I'm just happy that when I step up here onto the show, you guys don't see how bad I'm sweating, because I don't sweat, thanks to our awesome sponsor, Mando. I love Mando because it's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours. And new customers, they can get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. All you got to do is use code CHAT at shopmando.com. It's safe on your whole body. I'm talking you can use it on your feet, you can use it on your package, your pits. Bottom line, if you think that there's sweat, you can use Mando there. It's also available in 4 awesome scents: bourbon leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, and Clover Woods. I'm a big fan of the bourbon leather personally. Alex likes the Mount Fuji. It's hot, and I've been trying to get into better shape. I got my bachelor party coming up here at the end of July, and I chafe. It's an honest thing to say out loud, right? Not many people are, like, I can look at all y'all right now. We're family. I chafe when I run. But when I use Mando, you just rub a little bit down there on your legs, you go for a jog, and then guess what? I don't look like I got a rash going on downstairs. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers, and it comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream, tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice. Think of it as like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and you're going to get free shipping. Luckily for the nation, I got a discount code to help you get hooked on Mando, my favorite smelling deodorant on the market right now, favorite whole body smelling deodorant. New customers are going to get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code CHAT at shopmando.com. If you need the help spelling, Zon, I'm looking at you, shopmando.com. Shout out to Mando for sponsoring the Raiders Report. All right, let's talk here a little bit about Shedeur Sanders potentially going to the Las Vegas Raiders. Deion likes the idea of it. We've heard it multiple times this offseason, and Prime's going to have a say, let's be real, of where his sons are going to play. Shedeur also has been mocked to the Raiders, not even like a little bit. I actually have stopped looking at NFL mock drafts because I feel like 3 out of 5 mock drafts that I look at have the Las Vegas Raiders selecting Shedeur Sanders no matter where they're picking. I've seen the Raiders pick as much as in the top 5. I've seen them pick in the late teens. I've seen a mock draft in the 20s. And guess what? Shedeur Sanders is going to the silver and black in a lot of mock drafts. Is that because maybe Vegas knows something? Is that because Deion's okay with it? Or is that just because nobody believes in Aidan O'Connell or Gardner Minshew? My question to the nation is, do you want the Raiders to draft Shedeur Sanders? I want you to type D for draft, type P for pass. Let me know down below, because this is going to be a controversial topic just because of the name, Shedeur Sanders. For me personally, and I want y'all to get your answers in, right? Because I have kind of gone a little bit both ways on this one. But for me, my honest opinion is I don't really want the Raiders to draft Shedeur unless he has a season like where, Jaden was good. Then he had a Heisman season. Joe Burrow, nobody heard of him. Then he had a Heisman season. If Shedeur Sanders, who was good last season, can prove to me that he is like a Heisman-winning caliber of a quarterback that I view worthy of going in round 1, then sure, I am open to the conversation. But based off what we've seen so far from Shedeur, I don't really know how you could say he's a round 1 quarterback. He hasn't proven it to me yet. And I also don't want the Raiders to be bad this season, because I think that Shedeur is going to end up going somewhere in the top 15, somewhere in the top 10. Hell, it wouldn't even surprise me if people are talking about him going in the top 5. And when you look at the numbers that he put up last season, they were good. But how many times have we ever heard about a quarterback going in the top 5, going in the top 10, where their team went 4-8 the season before? My point is, I believe that this is a good Raiders football team, and I think the only way that you're going to be able to get Shedeur Sanders is if you're drafted in the top 10. That's not going to happen this season for AP and the squad. But when you look at Sanders' numbers last season versus ranked teams versus non-ranked teams, I'm going to be honest, the numbers, they're not really different. Sure, he's got a higher completion percentage. The yards are there, touchdowns, interceptions. The record is a little bit of an eye-popping stat. Are you going to draft a quarterback in the top 10 that was 1-5 last season against top 25 teams? I know it's not always just on the quarterback, but in college, if you have a dominant quarterback, you should be able to win football games, in my opinion. And then again, from a per-game basis versus ranked teams versus non-ranked teams, 6 games to 5, the yards per game are essentially identical. He was actually better from an interception ratio, did throw more touchdowns against non-ranked teams. But again, I am going to go out and I want a quarterback that can be a leader. If you're going to be a successful quarterback in the NFL, to me, you got to be a leader. And I don't know if Shedeur Sanders could do that. I will say this, though, and this is me being honest, and I hope that people, when they watch this show, know how honest of a person I am. The only reason why, if the Raiders drafted Shedeur Sanders, that I'd be excited, it would be amazing for our channel here. It would be an unbelievable, and I mean an unbelievable thing here, but let's be real. If Shedeur's last name was Renz or Chugs or whatever, right? He's not going in round 1. The only reason why we're talking about Shedeur going where he's going is because of his last name. It's Sanders. You think Shedeur Chugs is going in round 1? All right. Shedeur Chugs, probably a top 10 pick. Shedeur Renz, he ain't going in round 1. But again, if I'm being honest, the only reason why I would be excited about the Raiders drafting Shedeur, I don't know if it's going to translate to wins. And this show has always been about just win, baby. But from a selfish standpoint, and I bet you every single Raiders content creator would probably agree with this, Shedeur's going to get eyeballs to the Raiders. It's going to create a lot of money for Mark Davis, which does matter. But then on top of that, you think ticket prices are expensive now? If they draft Shedeur, those tickets are going to go up even higher, which maybe results in more people watching this channel after all. Coming up, should the Raiders draft Shiloh Sanders? Because if you thought all we were doing today is talking about Shedeur, you're wrong, because Deion is trying to get, or said that both of his kids, he likes both the idea of both Shiloh and Shedeur suiting up in the silver and black. But before I get into that, I do want to tell y'all that we're going to do a Raiders meetup. I'm trying to convince Graf to show up as well, so we'll try to get that one going. But it's going to be Saturday, July 20th at 1 p.m. Central Time, because we're in Texas. If you want to know what the address is right here. The restaurant is a Matitos, and to the OG Raiders Report watchers, I did a Raiders Report meetup back in, I want to say it was 2019. This is before I started dating Alex. I'm going to say this even before we were at 15,000 subs. I did a meetup at a Matitos, and the reason why I'm picking this place is because it's owned and operated by a diehard Raider fan, a diehard Raiders Report watcher. I talked to him yesterday on the phone, and he's going to hook us up. So if you live near the area, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, guess what? Here's the address. Here's the time, and I'm just going to keep the party going until people want to go home. The only thing I will say is this. Please, Uber, please take a Lyft because we're probably going to have some drinks flowing. We're probably going to be having a good time. We're going to chop it up a little bit, and I really, really hope to see you there. All right, let's talk here a little bit about Shiloh potentially coming to the Raiders. And kind of like everything we just talked about, Shedeur, Prime's going to have a say. Deion likes the idea of his kid playing here. Also, on top of that, which I do think is something to at least note, Trevon Merrick and Marcus Epps are both going to be free agents in 2025. Obviously, I love Isaiah Palomeo. I think Trey Taylor is a hell of a player. They ended up drafting him this year. Chris Smith is maybe the best fifth safety in all the NFL on a depth chart. But, if the Raiders decide not to extend Epps or if they decide not to extend Trevon Merrick, then I do think the idea of Shiloh potentially coming to the Raiders later on in the draft could be an idea that some people will throw out there. I still want to see a little bit more tape on him just because, from an honest opinion, when I watched Colorado football last season, there was only two people that I watched, Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. I will go into the lab. I will watch more of Shiloh going forward. But based off of what I've heard, based off of what I've seen, it does still sound like he's going to be a prospect that potentially gets selected in the top 100, probably definitely in the top 150 unless injuries arise. But injuries, to me, do scare me a little bit. So Shiloh was asked by Vegas Sports TV reporter, are you okay with the idea of coming to the Raiders? And we talked about Shedeur and the way that he answered the question. I'm going to be honest, I got a little, I'm sick and tired of always talking about Shedeur. And he said, I'm going to the league too, right? And he kind of jokingly said it, but it's also a little bit of an honesty of, hey, I'm my own person. I don't always want to have to talk about my dad and my brother. He also said, if my dad can LeBron James that thing, that would be great. He also said just playing. But, there is a part of me that wonders where you just saw LeBron James tell the Lakers, hey, I want you to select my kid Bronny. What if Deion goes to the Raiders and goes to the NFL and is like, hey, I only want him to play for a few teams, and then the Raiders are just one of those teams because they don't bring back Marcus Epps. You don't bring back Trevon Merrick. All I'm saying is I think that Shiloh Sanders coming to the Raiders might actually be more realistic than Shedeur, because also you're not going to have to take Shiloh in round one. So I haven't done a lot of research on Shiloh, and I don't want to ever get that twisted with y'all. Like I said, I'm an honest person through and through. So I saw some of this draft profile notes from the NFL Draft Buzz and just wanted to be able to share their thoughts on Shiloh as a player. Despite the setback of a shoulder injury, Shiloh Sanders remains one of the most intriguing safety prospects in the 2025 draft class. His combination of football IQ, playmaking ability, and NFL pedigree could see him climb draft boards once he's back to full health. His instincts in zone coverage and known for creating turnovers will be particularly attractive to teams looking to bolster their secondary. While he may need time to fully recover and adjust to the NFL game, Sanders has the tools to eventually compete for a starting role and make his mark on Sundays. With his track record of resilience and playmaking ability, don't be surprised if Sanders emerges as one of the top 5 safeties taken in the draft. Teams willing to be patient with his development could find themselves with a defensive gem capable of changing the complexion of games with his ball hawking skills and football IQ. So, think about it from overall, right? Shiloh, the Raiders, we're going to talk obviously a lot about Shedeur. But I do like to be able to hit on both of these players here just simply because if Deion's trying to get both of them to the Raiders, it's going to be a topic that the media talks about, that we're going to talk about, because my job is to talk about the silver and black. Coming up next here on the Raiders Report, again, sponsored by Mando. Shout out to them for showing up. Davante Adams picks who he thinks is the quarterback one for the Raiders. Did he say Gardner Minshew? Did he say Aidan O'Connell? The reason why this is really important to me is because Davante has spoke in years past. Again, it was the Josh McDaniels, so it's fallen on deaf ears. But he was verbally being like, hey, I came here for a reason. I believe I should have a say. And I do think that Antonio Pierce values what Davante says. If he doesn't, no offense, Antonio, it's not a smart decision. But you should value him based on his contract, based on his wants, because Max Crosby ain't going anywhere. And I know people don't like to hear this, but if Davante doesn't win this season, there is a chance that he might not be on the team next season. So I want to try to keep Davante happy, especially because he went out there and he had Antonio Pierce's back. So he joined the show Speak on FS1 this week, and Davante Adams thinks that Aidan O'Connell is the QB1 right now. He said, I think it's Aidan's job right now. So there you go. There's your captain. There's your star wide receiver. And he flat out said to everybody, and this is one of the things that I respect about Davante, there's a lot of people that might beat around the bush. There's a lot of people that might be like, Aidan's great, Gardner's great. Davante was like, I think it's Aidan's jobs right now. And this is exactly what he had to say. I want whoever's going to look the best when it's time, when it's live bullets. So at the end of the day, I don't have a preference other than the fact that I want somebody that's confident and ready to go when it's time to do it. So whoever that is, that's who I want throwing the ball. I think right now, if I had to say, I think Aidan has the job because he obviously was here before, and that's the way that it was. He was running with the ones more until Gardner came in and takes the job away from him. I think it's Aidan's job right now. He's doing what he's got to do to hold on to it. He's still got to keep working and do what he's got to do to grow and get better. We can definitely get better than where we are, and our connection, him individually, even me. At this point in the year, this is not where you're going to show your best. So throughout camp, when we start really doing with the pads on and we doing the real deal, I think that we all will be able to decide who's the guy will be, and I'll continue to keep working and getting that camaraderie with that person. Like, I think everything Davante Adams says there is everything that I believe, and I bet you 99.9% of what Raider fans believe. At the end of the day, I don't care if it's Aidan. At the end of the day, I don't care if it's Gardner Minshew. I want the quarterback that shows up, that gives us the best chance to win on Sunday, especially on that Black Friday game, too, against the Chiefs. But, like, seriously, when it's time to play, I want the guy that's going out there competing. And I feel like a lot of people are making a story out of this. I don't think it should surprise anybody that Davante said that Aidan O'Connell is the quarterback one right now. It's Aidan's job to lose, and you're not going to lose this job based off of what? 2 practices in the middle of June and then a few random practices in May. They're going to go out there, they're going to compete, they're going to split reps at training camp, which I almost shit my pants laughing because Dav reported the other day that Aidan O'Connell and Gardner Minshew are both going to be competing for the job. Yeah, no shit. I want to see what they do in the preseason. And if I'm Antonio Pierce, I'm not naming a starting quarterback until the day before because I don't want the Chargers to prepare for one guy. You make them prepare for both dudes. So in conclusion, Shedeur and Shiloh coming to the Raiders would be great for the channel. I just don't know if it actually translates to any wins. And quite frankly, I don't think that we're going to even have an opportunity to take Shedeur because I don't see us being in the top 10. Adams thinks that the QB job is AOC's right now. Good. I think it's AOC's too right now. It's been what's reported. And again, like, that shouldn't surprise anybody. Tay wants what we want. The best quarterback to win the job. If that's Carter Bradley, put him in at starter. If that's Anthony Brown, put him in at starter. If it's Aidan O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, put him in at starter because it's commitment to excellence. It's just win, baby. That's what Davante wants. That's what I want. And if that's what you want, I want you to hit that like button right now.